So this award that was given to us was very meaningful because when I grew up in the 1950s, my parents had an organic garden, which is really unusual. We lived in Compton, which I don't know if anybody knows where that is, and it was kind of a desolate area for organic farms. We just lived in a little house, and we had an organic garden in the backyard, and my parents read Rodale's books. So and there's my mother coming in, and she was like one of the first health food people in the whole world. So she would make food for me. We would eat. I'd have to go weed the garden, which of course I didn't like, and she would feed me all kinds of healthy things like brown bread, and I would sneak across the street and get white Weber's bread and Skippy peanut butter and jelly because I didn't want to eat healthy. It just didn't taste good. But later in life, those lessons you learn from your parents that you don't really like right now, well, they're in there, and you really do learn from your parents. So that commitment to organic was a big integral part of what we did with Amy's. So I'll fast forward from being a little girl. I don't know how to even use this thing. Go with this. So this is me in the garden, and I didn't eat any of that food. So, but now I have an organic garden in my yard, which I eat all the time. So I was pregnant. I got married and I got pregnant, and we didn't have any money. And we had to think of a way to earn a living because we had to put our daughter through, or we didn't know it was a daughter yet, but our child through school. And so we thought, I think I was bedridden, and my husband went out he was trying to cook, and he didn't know how to cook. I don't know if anybody here knows how to cook, but he didn't know how to cook. And he brought home something that didn't taste very good. It was a frozen meal, and we thought, wow, there's nothing out there for us. We go to we're vegetarian, and when we go out to eat, there's nothing for us to eat. There's nothing in the stores. We figured other people were like us, and we needed to earn a living, so we would make organic, vegetarian, frozen food because there was a need. So we came out with a pot pie, and there's my mother, and this is actually the second pot pie because Amy wasn't born when this is our first product. It was a vegetable pot pie, which my mother worked on for many months, and it was a big success. We sold it in natural food stores around the country, and we thought we'd be a little company. We thought we would actually just make pot pies, and we had no idea we would ever become the big company we were. We didn't plan on it. We're entrepreneurs. We like to come out with new. Every few months, we'd think of a new meal to make, and we'd figure out how to make it, and we did everything organic. We were one of the first companies to actually work with farmers, small farmers, and get them to grow organic. And they might have a small farm, like the onions in California. We're the first company that did IQF frozen onions. So we developed this organic industry in a grander scale. And we make our food differently than the normal food companies. We do things by hand. We make roux. We use just only real food, real ingredients, and so the food tastes good. And it sold, and we kept growing, and it was kind of a miracle. We would always say, wow, people really like this food, and they weren't vegetarians. They were just normal people that needed to eat. And I read all the consumer letters. So right from the beginning, if somebody wrote, I would read it, and I'd talk to my poor family. I'd say, listen to this. You have to see this person, their kids, their moms, they haven't had anything to feed their kids all these years. When their kids come home from school, they had something. And I don't know how many kids here have eaten Amy's growing up. Okay, so you were one of those people that your parents probably wrote to me and said, hey, thank you very much. I work, I come home, and I have something to feed my kids I don't have to feel guilty about. And so I listen to the consumer, and that's been the key to the success of Amy's, is we really care about the people we're feeding. We listen to you. Some of the people that were celiacs. My mother, this one recipe, I think it was the enchiladas, she read in this cookbook called, because she did early product development, joy of cooking that if you use rice flour, it freezes better. So we did, and then the celiacs who can't eat wheat suddenly could eat enchiladas. And that was fantastic. So they wrote us and said, well, since you're making enchiladas, could you please make macaroni and cheese? Because our kids really need macaroni and cheese. So we did. We made a macaroni and cheese. And we weren't sure, like, this is kind of, is this going to be successful, or are we going to make money with this? And this is the thing that we do differently. We don't think, we didn't start this business, we're going to get rich, we're going to make a lot of money on this. We thought, oh, we're going to make a good meal, we're going to serve people, we're going to take care of people's needs. And so it's service first, money later. And it works, because people feel that they're taken care of, that they're listened to. And we were in the East Coast, we were just meeting with some of these wonderful government people. They're not all bad. So we were meeting with Senator Schumer and Senator Gillibrand in New York, because we're building a plant in New York, and they're very much interested in organic. So I think if you just care about who you're feeding and what you're doing, the results, the good things will follow with that. And you're committed, and we decided right from the beginning that we wouldn't sell. And we have been, every single company, and every day we get offers from, we have $1 billion that we can invest in your company, and you could sell to us, and we're not selling. It's a big thing. We don't want to sell. So we could retire. We could have retired 10 years ago. So why are we doing this? Why are we spending so much time worrying about everything? Is because we want to make a difference, and we make a difference in so many ways. To the customer, to the farmers that we're working with, they're organic, so their workers are not getting exposed to pesticides. And we're working, we started as a small company, we're a huge company now, but we're the same. We still taste our food in our kitchen. Our chef comes and we taste it and say, well, is this good? And we're not a scientific kitchen. We just have cooks that come in, or our friends, and we make a recipe and we just go in and cook it the way you would at home, but great big pots, huge pots. But we're still stirring the spices into the roux, and we are making a difference. And I think that we just keep growing. And I don't know why. I just think people feel the love. It's about love. It's about food is love. We love our customers. Every single person is important to us. Like when I meet somebody and they tell me what they've eaten all their life and their favorite food, and yesterday I met somebody and he said, well, my son's a celiac, and he lives on your food. He has nothing else to eat. And when we go out, he brings the food with him. And then I said, well, have you been to the restaurant? I'll tell you about the restaurant in a minute. But anyway, we feed this kid. So I'm so happy. I start crying. I'm always crying when I'm feeding. It's like, like I said, I sit there at night and I read all these letters, and whoever's in the house, they have to listen to me, because I say, listen to this, listen to this person. They can't eat anything, or they're sick, they have cancer, and they can eat our food because somehow our food agrees with them when they have chemo and radiation. Or old people who, we feed old people, like they can't cook anymore, but they love good food. So their kids fill up their freezers with Amy's, and they don't have to go live in a retirement home so quickly, because they can feed themselves conveniently. Let me just look at my list. Sorry. One of the things that we're doing is we're selling all over the world. We aren't making any money at it. In fact, probably losing money. Hopefully, we're opening plants in Portugal and India, and we're working with farmers to transition them into organic. So these poor farmers in some of these areas, they're not making a very good living, and we're going to be working with them to transition into organic. And for instance, in Mexico, we have there's this area in Guanajuato where we're growing some of our food, and we invested in a frozen food processing plant. which will service the whole area. And they're going to be hiring like 300 women whose husbands have moved up to the United States to work and left them. And so we're providing this wonderful environment for them to work. They're not getting exposed to chemicals, and they're going to be earning a good living. And we like that. And they're getting us great food. So we're winning, they're winning. And in India, we're going to be doing the same thing. We're going to build a plant, because we sell in Thailand and Dubai and Singapore and Manila. And they'll be able to make the food in India to ship over there, so it'll be profitable. I mean, somewhat. So I guess one of the key successes of our food is that it tastes good. And, if you're going to do something, you find a niche. You find what's not there. So what the success of Amy's has been, we look around and we see what isn't there. What do people need? For instance, we were making frozen, and then we decided that we were eating inorganic soup. I was eating Campbell's tomato soup because I didn't like the organic one. So we thought, maybe there's other people that are eating inorganic food because this is what tastes good, even though they believed in organic. And so we made soups. And within a year, we were the best-selling soups because we cook our food. We have great chefs. So we just are always looking to see where is the need, and not to give up. We don't give up. We just don't give up. We just keep working. And I think we can do that because we're a private company. We can make. This thing about gluten-free. There's autistic children. They can't eat anything. They can't eat wheat. They can't eat dairy. And so I said to Andy, my husband, could we please make a dairy-free, gluten-free line for these kids? And he said, well, we're not going to make any money. How many of them are there in the world? And so he did eventually, and we made, say, a dairy-free, gluten-free pizza. And the vegans liked it. We were able to feed the vegans, and so it was profitable. I mean, we sold it. And so you do the right thing, and it works out. That's all I can say, is you do the right thing. You're always doing the right thing, and you care about each person. Each person is important. Whatever their needs are, it's important. And when we were in the East Coast, I kept trying to eat out, and I'm trying to be vegan, and I'm trying not to eat wheat. And there was nothing for me to eat. And I thought, this is why I started the business, because there isn't anything out there. It's just hard when you're in a hotel or you're traveling to eat this way. So it just reinforced what we're doing and the value of it. And so why did we start a restaurant? People have been asking us for years, please start a restaurant. The mothers are saying we have nowhere to take our kids. Vegans are saying it's really difficult to find a restaurant. Celiacs don't go out at all. And so we just did. We thought this will be fun. We don't know if it'll be successful. Hey, vegetarian burger place, how successful is that going to be? And so we got a great recipes and built a beautiful building and decided to open. And the day we opened, we thought we'd do a soft opening. And I think we started in the morning, and they were lined up, because I don't know, the buzz got out that we were opening. People were driving around the block waiting for us to open, looking to see if there was any activity. And so we had the construction fence around it. And when the fence came down, the fence, about halfway through the day, we were lined up around the block. Cars were just, halfway down the block. And it was successful. Right away, we were successful. The news was there that day, and they were going to, in the afternoon, they said, come down. And we had to close early. We ran out of food, and we've been going ever since. And people love the food, all kinds of people, old people, young people, students. It's been a big success, and we hopefully will be able to do more. And all I can say is, my favorite story, it's the Starfish Story. I don't know if anyone's heard it, but it's how I operate. So there was a storm, and this beach was filled with starfish, And this little boy was going, and he was picking up a starfish and then putting it in the ocean, picking up another one. And some man was walking by and said, "What are you doing? Look at all these starfish. You're not making a difference." And he said, "Well, I'm making a difference to this one." So what we're all doing, every little thing that you do is making a difference. And if you go that way, if you always think that you're taking care of each person and each person is important, you will be successful.